Hope and legacy. Through a symbolic message, Ezekiel warned the people about unfaithfulness. They had turned away from God's love and chosen sinful paths. Ezekiel explained that God wants loyalty and obedience from his people. Faithfulness brings blessing and life, while sin brings harm. God calls everyone to return to him with sincere hearts. Ezekiel reminded the people that he was a watchman for God. His job was to warn them of danger and call them to turn back to the Lord. If they ignored his words, they would face the consequences of their choices. But if they listened and obeyed, lives could be saved. Ezekiel took this responsibility seriously, knowing God had given him a mission of love. Even while warning of judgment, Ezekiel shared God's promises of hope. He told the people that they could be restored if they repented and followed God. God's mercy is bigger than any mistake, and his love never ends. Ezekiel encouraged everyone to trust God and believe in his plan. Even in hard times, hope can shine through God's faithfulness. God promised that he would give his Spirit to his people, to teach them and guide them. Their hearts would be renewed, and they would love God sincerely. Ezekiel explained that God's Spirit can transform lives, helping people obey his laws and choose good. Healing and joy come when hearts turn fully to God. The people learned that God's power brings life, not just rules. Ezekiel told the people to follow God's guidance every day. Obedience leads to safety, blessing, and peace. God's words point to the right path. Even when life is confusing or hard, Ezekiel encouraged everyone to listen closely to God and trust him completely. Walking with God brings security, comfort, and joy to the heart. Ezekiel reassured the people that God protects those who trust him. Enemies might come, but nothing can stop God's plan. The people would not be abandoned, for God's care is constant and faithful. Ezekiel reminded them to stay close to God and rely on him in every danger. God's love surrounds his people always. God promised to give his people a heart of flesh instead of stone. Their hearts would feel love for him, and obedience would be natural. Ezekiel encouraged the people to seek this new heart with all their energy. God's gift transforms lives, making obedience joyful rather than forced. True love for God changes everything inside a person. Ezekiel told the people that God would forgive and cleanse them from sin if they repented. Their guilt and shame would be removed, and peace would fill their hearts. God's mercy is always ready for those who turn to him sincerely. Ezekiel reminded them that forgiveness brings freedom and joy. A clean heart allows people to live happily with God. Ezekiel saw God's glory returning to the temple in another vision. God would dwell with his people again, and they would experience his presence directly. Ezekiel described the vision in detail so the people would have hope. The return of God's glory meant life, blessing, and guidance for everyone. His presence is always powerful and comforting. Ezekiel taught that trusting God brings peace to the heart. Fear disappears when people rely on him, and life becomes calmer and happier. Obedience to God leads to security and joy in every situation. God's love is constant and protective. Ezekiel reminded the people that peace comes from walking closely with God every day. God reminded Ezekiel that he always keeps his promises. Even when people forget him or make mistakes, his plans and love never fail. Ezekiel encouraged the people to trust God completely. Obedience and faith bring courage and hope, even in hard times. Learning to follow God gives peace and confidence for the future. Ezekiel explained that God rules over all nations, not just Israel. He controls victories and defeats, and no nation can escape his will. Ezekiel reminded the people that God's authority is absolute. Obeying God brings safety, protection, and blessing to his people. They learned to trust that God is in control of everything. Even while living in exile, God promised hope for his people. Ezekiel encouraged them to remain faithful and trust that they would return to their land. God's plan would restore their lives and give them new opportunities. Trusting him strengthens the heart and gives courage. Ezekiel shared this hope to remind everyone that God is always with them. Ezekiel reminded the people that God always fulfills his promises. Past blessings showed that God is faithful, and future restoration was certain. The people could trust in God's words and plans. Hope grows when God's promises are true and dependable. Ezekiel encouraged them to rely on God's faithfulness every day. Ezekiel's life was an example of obedience to God. Even in difficult times, he spoke the truth courageously and faithfully. Obedience brings protection, blessing, and guidance. Ezekiel followed God's instructions daily, showing the people how to live faithfully. His life inspired many to trust God and obey his commands. Ezekiel spoke God's words faithfully until the end of his life. His life became a story of courage, obedience, and trust in God. Through him, people learned about God's mercy, power, and love. Ezekiel's story continues to inspire generations to follow God faithfully. Obedience to the Lord brings hope, peace, and lasting blessing.